105.5.
I'm back from the dead.
Rock 105 and 95.5. I'm Dave Doran, and I am here with Lzzy Hale of Hailstorm. How are you?
I'm doing great, darling. Thank you so much for taking the time for me. It's great to see your face.
Your face, too. Where are you? You look like you're sitting in a gaming chair.
I know, right? I think technically that's what this is, but it was the most comfortable one. I'm in my basement studio in Nashville, Tennessee. So this is usually where the magic happens first.
I have to apologize. I don't know that I'm on my game at 100%. I'm just coming off of my dance with COVID.
Yes.
And I understand that you kind of had it probably at the same time I did.
Yeah.
Is that right? Is that a secret or not a secret?
No, not at all. So our last tour, we were out with Blackstone Cherry and Stone Temple Pilots and Wolfie Van Halen for a spell. And by the end of the tour, everybody had dropped off because they were all catching it. And we completed the tour. We ended up doing the last show. It was in where was it? Missoula, Montana. And it was just us. So we ended up having to play like just a 3-hour show because all the openers dropped. And so I was testing negative for the next 2 days after that. And then all of a sudden it's like, just starting to feel funky. And then finally ended up, I finally tested positive. I staved it off for 2.5 something years. I didn't get it during any of the hard stuff in lockdown.
Me either. I staved it off for about 2.5 years as well. So, 2.5 years me, 2.5 years you, however long it was for Mick Jagger and however long it was for Dr. Fauci, we all had it at the same time.
Well, I guess it was a good time to have it.
I guess.
And, but yeah, I mean, just, hunkered down. I didn't have it too bad. I thankfully I got the triple vax thing going on, but it was funny because it's just like a lot of just like heebie-jeebie stuff for the first 2 days, and then it was just like the fatigue was real.
You come from a religious background growing up, and that's really the kind of music you were listening to as a youngster. And Michael W. Smith, DC Talk, and all along down those lines. So how big of a jump is it? And I don't think it's that big. How big of a jump is it to go from Christian music to secular music? It's all kind of the same, except for the message, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's interesting. I never used to talk about that stuff because I was like, well, I don't want everyone to be confused that we're a Christian band or anything. Luckily, I had some really awesome parents that, when we were kind of starting to get out of the church and, with organized religion, there's a lot of unexplainable questions, and a lot of things that and as parents, they were kind of being honest too, just like, we actually don't have any idea why, it was something that is supposed to be teaching love and kindness and equality is almost the complete opposite, with the organized religion. So they were very supportive of the fact that, maybe we should kind of just let's be the best people we can be, but we don't have to be beholden to the church. And so in all honesty, as far as the music goes, I blame Alice Cooper and Dio for
were those the two that got you?
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting because there was just a moment in time where I just became obsessed with both of those two artists. I think I was around 11 and 12 when really first started getting into that and started kind of dressing the way I do now. And I ended up getting to tell Alice Cooper the story of how I realized that I was weird, how I discovered that I was not like the other girls, and I blame him. I brought Love It to Death to a slumber party when I was barely 12. And and now, granted, I've always been a little bit of a decade behind in my interest in music as far as rock music, thanks to my dad. But so I was obsessed with the 70s and 80s rock music during the 90s. And so this was around I want to say 96-ish. And so I take this CD to the slumber party and there's TLC posters on the wall and Mariah Carey and all of that. And so you put in Alice Cooper CD into the boombox, and those girls looked at me like it was an alien out of space. Like, why are you listening to this?
What are you doing?
Interesting. now because I told him that story and he was so proud. He's like, oh, I'm so glad that it was me that showed you you're weird. But it's funny because I can trace back. That was a monumental moment for me because I had to learn then, because I still had a lot of young Christian friends, but then also my younger secular friends were not into that type of music. So I had to really just kind of take ownership of this music that I loved so much, and really just use it as my armor and as a weapon and as a way to show off my weird and to stand out. And it's weird because I can trace back now as an adult, like every mission statement that I have now and the things that I talk about in my songs. There would not be a freak like me if it wasn't for those monumental moments, and those talks with my dad. Again, like I was very lucky to have awesome parents that, when those things would happen, be like, I don't know why nobody likes what I do, or, I never had a whole lot of friends, but even like the friends that I used to have prior to that moment of being like, okay, I want to be in rock in some way. Everybody kind of fell off the train, and I'd come home, just kind of distraught after school and be just like, why can I not find my tribe, man? And my dad was always super great. He's like, no, this is awesome. And I'm like, why is it awesome, Dad? Whatever, no one's ever going to like me. And he's like, no, this is awesome because nothing great ever comes from anybody just following the crowd and wanting to fit in. The fact that you are on this journey now of standing out is going to be monumental for you. And this was right before we started the band. That was kind of like the inspiration for that too, because my brother and I were always kind of, playing together, like in our parents' living room or whatever. And so when we first started playing out and then we started the band, it was like, all right, this is something that is just for us, that nobody can take away from us, that no one else is doing. And just a lot of pride in that.
That's the same trajectory basically that your brother took as well, right?
Yeah, my little bro is awesome. He's still the same way he ever was. He'll never. We're both in our 30s now, but he'll never be in his 30s to me. He's always like 15. He stopped somewhere there, but he's amazing. He has followed me down every rabbit hole and every harebrained scheme that we've ever gone through, and we still kind of have that same dynamic. He's like, "Well, I get to play drums with you, right, sis?" I'm like, "Yeah, dude, we're a band."
Let's talk about your new baby.
Which one?
Wait, the Lizzy Bird.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Can you tell us about that? I know it's kind of like a hybrid guitar.
Yeah, it's an Explorer body with a Firebird headstock, and this was conceptualized right before lockdown when the world changed. The last NAMM of, I guess it was 2020. That we were out and we did a bunch of stuff for Gibson, and I love my Gibson family. They're just so amazing and so supportive, and but you got to watch yourself because we'll have like a beer or two together, and then all of a sudden I'll be like, it would be really cool, and like we'll have this casual conversation, and then like a couple months later, like one showed up at my door and I'm like, oh crap, all right, this is real now. And but it's awesome, it's beautiful. It's a little screamer. The prototype that they made for me before we went public, I ended up using on this album specifically for our first two singles, for Back from the Dead and The Steeple, because we do those two songs in drop C. And there's something about this Explorer Bird, and of course I'm not so much of a nerd. I like plugging in and playing, and then a lot of the details fly out of my head, but there's something about having that Firebird headstock that just locks everything in tune really nice. So I use that for a lot of the lower tunings, and then the there's a bunch of differences between not just with the hybrid, but mahogany body. There's a beautiful rosewood neck on it, just with the fingerboard. And because it's this bright cardinal red, you can actually see the red of the rosewood of the wood grain in the neck. It's just beautiful. And then to top it all off, I ended up switching up my normal pickup scene for this one. Instead of the classic 57s, I'm doing the 70s pickups, which are like on fire. It just screams a little harder than any of my other guitars. So it's been a lot of fun to debut that. And just, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful for all of the amazing reviews. And I get all these people that are sending me pictures of them playing, with it. So it's exciting,
I've seen the pictures of the guitar, and your description doesn't do the pictures justice. I mean, your description was so much more vivid than a photo. I mean, I don't play. That's why I'm on the radio, but I like the color. I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, it's a deeper red than that chair you're sitting in.
It is. It's awesome, and you can see it from the back of the arena. It's just wonderful. I mean, that is a part of, the beauty of playing guitars, or and even if you don't play, it's just functional art. I have, you can't see it from this vantage point, but like usually I have, just guitars all over the walls and stuff because it just looks great too. So yeah, that's part of it.
Well, you never know. One might end up in my little bar area, my little rock room at home. You never know. I might buy one, and if I ever see you, have you sign it. You never know.
Absolutely. And then when I come and see you, I'll teach you, drop D, and then you only need like one finger to do anything. So you'll
America's Got Talent, and there I am. Boing. Right, yeah. All right, let's talk about Hyde Manor. It's the band's first graphic novel. Did you write that, or is it a collaboration with you and some other people? And what's it about?
It's a collaboration with they call themselves the Winner Twins, and you can find them on Instagram. They're two sisters. They're identical twins, and they've done so many of just being in the graphic novel scene. And so it's been kind of funny because basically it's a fictional tale, right, but a lot of the side stories and the little bit of a deeper meaning, like the ultimate good and evil dichotomy that essentially is inside of myself always with that balance. We've been having a lot of fun going back and forth because they're like, okay, like they'll have all these questions like, so what do you wear on a plane? Like what do you, like all these descriptions, like, do you like hot wings? Like the weird questions like that. I'm just like, what are you doing? And then we ended up getting the first couple chapters back to go through, and it's just awesome. It like there's some humor to it. There's a lot of mystery. There's a lot of ghost stories and all of these things that we included in the narrative. And we're getting art back now, so we're gonna end up debuting it on Halloween, which is kind of perfect. And it's gonna be awesome. We've been wanting to do this for a long time, and we never really had the chance to kind of put a team together. So it's just, it's going to be just a treat for anybody that wants something a little different than just, hey, here's a vinyl, hey, here's a CD, hey, here's some music, hey, here's a concert ticket. So.
I think that's pretty cool. I can't wait to check it out. The album, Back from the Dead, amazing.
Thank you so much.
Loud and amazing. But what was that born out of? Was it well, it's supposed to be loud, right?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that we only realized how heavy of a record that we made after it was all done, and we were listening back to masters, and I'm like hanging out with the guys. I'm like, I think this is like one of our angriest records. And then we like start kind of breaking it down. I'm like, well, we ended up writing this, during the roller coaster ride of like, do we get in the studio? Do we stay at home? Okay, everything's locking down again. Can we see each other yet? And so without having, touring or the stage or even just like jamming with your bandmates for so long, I mean, you have to put all of those feelings somewhere. So we ended up, I mean, that's what happened. Like you can't like lay it out on stage somewhere. So, you have to put it somewhere, and it's it ended up being the album. This album is kind of crazy for me because, all of these concepts and all of the the lyrics and everything that was the storylines and all of the big mission statements on this album were coming from a very personal place for me. Mm-hmm. I went through kind of a hard time during lockdown because I don't think I realized how much of everything that goes on with this band, via it be touring or the camaraderie that you have with your bandmates, or even just, the forward movement. I mean, even when I was 13, I had a bowling alley gig twice a month. Like we had never gone that long without, since the inception of Hailstorm, we've never gone that long without those things, and I didn't realize how much of that I use as just kind of weapons in my arsenal to combat the darkness and combat some depression and my anxiety. I got reintroduced to some panic attacks that I hadn't had since I was a kid. And it's like, oh my gosh, like you have to kind of look in the mirror and be like, what can I do about this? You feel a little helpless and you feel like you have to be doing something about it. So, eventually I ended up kicking myself in the butt a little bit and just sat down and be like, all right, I don't care how long it takes. I don't know what the future holds. I can't control that, but I can write through it. So ended up, starting all of this during that time. And it really did help, because by doing, immersing myself into that and being creative again, and writing drafts and drafts of certain songs, like for instance with Back from the Dead, that was like 3 different songs before it actually the puzzle pieces actually came together. I think the first version of that was called It's Alive, and I'm like, okay, you're circling around something, but it's not right. And so it was just one of those things where, like, by the time everything started coming together, I feel like I had gotten through a lot of those issues through the power of music, and through, and really understanding the why, almost getting reintroduced to, okay, why is it that I still love writing? It's not just because it's a career choice now, or because that's part of what I do to keep everything moving. I still do it as a form of therapy. And then fast forward, after the entire thing is done, I got this amazing, like, life lesson almost, because I'm listening to all of these songs and I'm like, wow, even though they came from this kind of core personal place, they sound very universal, and they sound very much like these big, we call them arena messages, where it's like you can hit the back of even if someone's in the nosebleed section, they can hear something and take ownership of these songs. And so then I'm like, well, that's like the ultimate example that I was not alone in any of these feelings. Everybody was going through the same things that I was going through. So it was just kind of a beautiful, just kind of full circle situation. And then something that we did that was different than any other, album that we ever recorded, I ended up recording all of the keeper vocals to the demo tapes. And then we ended up, when we got in the studio, building up the tracks to those keeper vocals. So, which is the opposite of the way we usually do it. Usually I'm the last one in the booth. Right. Like, all right, we build it up. Lzzy, go sing on it. Right. And so it was kind of interesting to kind of be leading the charge in that way too, because then all of the music that we ended up putting together for the album was directly inspired by certain melodies that were already there. Everyone kind of had that roadmap. So yeah, it was just, it was a crazy thing to have to get done, and it took forever to get it done. And then we had to wait forever to get it out. So the fact that it's out there and people are receiving it so well, and I every single day there's more and more people with the lines tattooed on them, and the album's only been out a couple of weeks. I'm like, you guys are crazy.
Well, it's like an audio journal almost that people respond to. So I music connects to people in many, many different ways. And, if you can, if you can experience the same thing that Lzzy Hale was experiencing at the time, or you experienced at the time, that's huge. That's huge to me. Music is timeless. It's happened to you where you sit back and you hear a song and it takes you back 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 20 years, right?
Absolutely. And then there's certain songs that you've been listening to forever, and then all of a sudden it just hits you in a different way.
Right.
That just recently happened with some Jeff Buckley tunes. I got to go see here in Nashville. I went out to see Ann Wilson perform at a small club in Nashville. It was just beautiful. Her band is amazing, and she did a cover of "Forget Her" by Jeff Buckley. And I've known the song. I've listened to Jeff Buckley, since the '90s, and it's like all of a sudden it was, I don't know what it was. Maybe it was something about her voice and the way that she performed it, but I don't know. It was just like I looked at love in a different way for the first time in a while,
Could it be because it was being delivered by a female rather than a male, you think?
It's possible. It's possible. There's something about that too, where it's like it kind of seeps into your subconscious, and that's part of the reason why we love doing cover EPs and all that stuff too, because you can almost Yeah, you're almost interpreting the song, from your own angle, regardless, and just on a, naturally not even really trying to do so. And so, yeah, you can look at a song in a different way. It's cool. It's a beautiful thing. I'm so grateful to be a part of music and to be able to put out, certain tunes and just be like, hey, now it's no longer mine, now it's yours. And it's beautiful. We've been playing a lot of these new songs live already, and it's just great to hear people singing it back and hear all the stories of what these songs mean to them. It's wonderful.
That's great. Lzzy, who's your favorite band of the moment?
Oh, of the moment,
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with Ghost right now. This latest record is really awesome. It kind of hits all of my, there's a little bit of guilty pleasure in there because it sounds like this like huge like 80s record,
Well, that's my guilty pleasure. I listen to 80s new wave. Not that Ghost is 80s new wave by any means. I mean, I love Ghost too. I get it, but yeah,
Yeah, having a little bit of rock, but there's like a little bit of a smile to it, and
yeah, yeah.
it's just beautiful. Like the guitar solos are amazing, and I've been obsessed with that for right now. A band that's been around for a while, but they're starting to actually get on the festival scene now is a trio, right from here in Nashville called the Dead Deads. It's three girls and they just slay. There's like it's such an interesting genre. I always recommend this band to anybody because it's like Veruca Salt grunge, but with some metal, but there's pop sensibility to it. There's so much, that they just kind of they literally make up their own rules just so that they can break them every single night, and they're just a super tight band. And so I love the fact that they're not beholden to anything. They're just after whatever gets them excited. What else am I listening to? The latest Mastodon. I know that's been out for a while, but I've been listening to a lot of that too. Getting my metal on right now.
Metal on. That's
Yeah.
right. So you guys are on tour with Pretty Reckless, The Warning, and Lilith Czar, and I'm sure that's going well. You're going to be at the Michigan Lottery Amphitheater at Freedom Hill downstate July the 8th. I'm going to be at that show, by the way.
Yeah, I'll get to see you in person. That's awesome. No, it's going to be a great show. We've been wanting to kind of put this together for a while. I've been friends with Taylor and the guys from Pretty Reckless forever now, and I actually we haven't seen each other since lockdown. So. And Taylor was my happy hour buddy, my FaceTime happy hour buddy a couple times during lockdown. Like, hey, do you just want to like FaceTime and we'll have a drink or something? Like, yeah, let's do it. So it'll be a great family reunion there. And then we became friends with Lilith Czar. I've known her, and we've like met in passing for like the past decade, and then we got to actually hang out when we were out with Evanescence because she ended up opening up for half of that tour, and so really wanted to do that again with her. And then The Warning are amazing. We've never met in person. We've done a bunch of like Zoom things together, but three sisters from Mexico. They're all under 21 and they slay. They kind of got their notoriety doing Metallica covers.
Oh, wow.
When they were like in middle school, and so. I am looking forward to being inspired every night by these young girls and just be kind of like, all right, I got to go practice. Jesus, these girls just slay. I love doing that. So it's going to be great.
Well, we can't wait to see the show. Rock105.fm and hailstormrocks.com for the concert information that you need. And Lzzy Hale from Hailstorm, thank you for joining us today. I really appreciate the time you've given us.
Oh, of course, man. Thanks for letting me ramble. And it's just, like I said, it's great to see your face, and I can't wait to see it in person and rock out with you. It's going to be exciting. It's coming up quick.
It is just a couple of weeks away. All right, Lzzy, thank you. You have a fantastic day, and I will see you soon.
Absolutely. You too, darling. Thank you.
Thank you.